Have you ever truly asked yourself why you are seeking? I see this question in so many eyes. I hear it in the way we talk, in the books we buy, in the gurus we follow, in the entire structure of our modern world. We are all looking for something. We want peace, we want quiet, we want an end to the endless grinding noise inside our own skulls. And so we begin by asking, how, I ask you, can my mind become quiet? It seems like the most logical, the most practical, the most necessary question, doesn't it? How can I achieve this state without effort, without brutal control, without drilling myself like a soldier, without following yet another system, without shaping my mind or giving it a new border? But I want you to look at that question, to feel the weight of it, because the moment you ask how, you have already failed. The moment you ask how, you are introducing a system, a method, a 10-step plan, a guarantee. You are looking for a new authority to replace the old one, a new technique because the last one didn't work. You are asking me, or someone else, to give you a map which implies that I have arrived and you have not, which immediately creates a division, a hierarchy, a new form of conflict. Therefore, there is no how. This is the first thing, perhaps the only thing we must see. So, if how is the wrong question, what is the right one? Perhaps it is simply, can the mind become quiet? And when I ask that, what is your immediate, honest response? I don't know what you are going to do about it, what action you think you can take when you truly see the problem for what it is, when you see the absolute, profound necessity, the deep, penetrating truth of having a quiet mind, not a dull mind, not a stupid mind, not an empty mind, but a mind that is delicate, subtle, alive, and vibrating within stillness. When you see that only such a mind can face the catastrophic problems of our world, what is to be done? Because, you see, only such a mind is a religious mind. Now, I am not using that word religious in any traditional sense. I am not talking about belief, about dogma, about rituals, or about saviors. I am not talking about the temples in Tirupati, the cathedrals of Rome, or the teachings of any organized faith. All of that is still part of the noise, part of the division, part of the how. I am using religious to mean a mind that sees the whole of life as a complete, indivisible unit, as a single unitary movement. It is a mind that is no longer fragmented, and that is our primary condition is state. Fragmentation. You are one person at work, another person at home. You are a citizen, a parent, a lover, a secret self, and all these fragments are at war with each other. You have your professional ambitions, your spiritual longings, your sexual desires, your political angers, and they are all pulling you apart. Our whole society is built on this fragmentation, and this division within ourselves is the source of all conflict. Therefore, a mind that is fragmented cannot possibly act totally. It acts from its fragments, from its immediate desires, from its fears, from its past conditioning. But a mind that is completely still, that sees the whole, acts out of that complete stillness. It acts totally. And so we arrive at the very heart of the problem, the central question of meditation itself. How is this total stillness, this foundation of a new way of living, to actually happen? To understand this, we must first have laid the foundation. This isn't something we can skip. We discussed this yesterday. This life that is based on complete relationship, a life that is in itself orderly, and therefore it is in its very nature virtuous. When I say orderly, I don't mean the order of a soldier following commands or the order of a society under tyranny. I mean the order that comes from understanding disorder, the order that arises naturally when you see the chaos of your own fragmentation. And from that order comes a life that is extraordinarily inwardly simple. This simplicity is a form of total austerity. But again, please, we must be so careful with words. This is not the austerity of the priest, not the austerity of the monk who denies the world, who wears a rough cloth and starves his body. That austerity is harsh, it is brutal, it is born of suppression, control, and fear. It is just another form of violence, another form of conflict. The me is trying to become austere, and so it wars against its own desires. No, I'm talking about the austerity of deep, profound simplicity, which means, very simply, a mind that is not in conflict. It is the simplicity of having only what is necessary, not just physically, but psychologically. It is the end of holding on to beliefs, to prejudices, to memories, to hurts. It is a mind that is unburdened. And when you have laid this foundation of relationship, of order, of true simplicity, you find it is laid easily, without any effort at all. Why? Because the moment you introduce effort, you have introduced conflict. The moment you say, I must be simple, you have created a battle between what you are and what you think you should be. But if you simply see the truth of it, if you perceive the nature of your own complexity and conflict, if you see it as you would see a fire or a dangerous animal, the perception itself is the action. The perception of what is brings about a radical, effortless change. So when you perceive, when the mind sees clearly, it sees that it's only a quiet mind that can function. This means the very brain cells themselves, which carry the weight of centuries, the memories of our culture, our education, our personal histories, our animal instincts, they must also become quiet. They must learn to only respond when functionally necessary, like remembering your name or how to drive a car, and not otherwise. They must not be chattering all the time, projecting the past into the future, creating endless psychological fear and pleasure. They must respond only when challenged completely, but otherwise remain utterly quiet. This is the problem. This is the first and last hurdle. It's only a quiet mind, a totally still mind, that can understand anything new. And in that stillness, I promise you, there is a movement, but it is a movement of a totally different kind, of a different dimension, of a different quality, a movement that the chattering, fragmented mind can never ever conceive of. That movement, the one I spoke of, which arises in the stillness, that is truly indescribable. To try to put it into words is to capture the wind in a net. The words will remain, but the reality is gone. But what can be described, what we must explore together, is the journey up to that point. We can describe the laying of the foundation, the seeing of the necessity, the profound truth, and the penetrating beauty of a still mind. And I want to pause on that word, beauty. For most of us, where do we find it? We say it is in something out there. We find it in the architecture of a great building, in the fleeting color of a cloud at sunset, in the complex shape of a single tree, or in a beautiful symmetrical face. We travel the world to see beauty as if it is a commodity we can consume with our eyes. But I must ask you, is beauty out there? Or is it a quality of mind, a quality of perception that arises only when there is no self-centered activity? Think about this, please, because like joy, the understanding of beauty is absolutely essential in this journey of meditation. And what is this beauty, truly? It is not the appreciation of an art critic full of knowledge and comparison. It is not the pleasure of possession. I believe true beauty is, quite simply, the total abandonment of the me, of the self. And it is only the eyes that have abandoned this me that can truly see the tree, that can perceive the immense living beauty of it, or the astonishing loveliness of a passing cloud. The seeing happens only when there is no center, no I who is the observer, the judge, the experiencer. This has happened to each one of us, hasn't it? Even if just for a second, perhaps you are walking, lost in your thoughts, consumed by your anxieties, your plans for tomorrow, your regrets from yesterday, and then you come upon it suddenly, a vast, silent mountain, its peak hidden in the clouds. And in that instant, there it is. The mind, your mind, goes completely silent. Everything, your worries, your name, your history, your problems, has been completely pushed aside, and there is only the overwhelming, silent majesty of that mountain. In that moment, the mountain has absorbed you completely. It is precisely like a small child with a new, fascinating toy. The toy is so bright, so complex, so engaging that the child is utterly absorbed by it. In that moment of absorption, the child is quiet, he is not in mischief, he is not crying, there is only the toy. But what happens when the toy is broken or when it is taken away? The child is back again, back in his mischief, in his crying, in his demands. Likewise with us, when you see that incredible mountain or that single perfect tree on a hilltop, it absorbs you. And because those moments of selfless peace are so rare and so profound, we want to be absorbed. This, I feel, is one of the deepest, most tragic secrets of our lives. We are desperate to be absorbed by something to escape the prison of the me. We want to be absorbed by an idea, by a political commitment, by a religious belief. We throw ourselves into an activity, becoming a workaholic. We seek to be absorbed by another person in a passionate romance. We become followers of a guru, or fans of a celebrity, or we lose ourselves in the digital stream, scrolling endlessly, desperate for the next image or video to absorb us, even for a moment. But this is all of it, exactly like the child with the toy. It is an escape, a dependency. It is not freedom. It is not stillness. It is merely a temporary distraction from our own inner chaos. True beauty, the sensitivity that meditation demands, is something entirely different. It means a body, an organism that is fully alive and sensitive. This implies a right way of living, a right diet, not because of some moral code, but because you cannot have a subtle, delicate mind if the body is dull, heavy, or overstimulated. A mind that is cluttered with information, with other people's opinions, with fear, cannot be sensitive. Beauty, then, is this total sensitivity of the whole being. And when you have all this, when you have laid this foundation, and I truly hope you are doing this, or will at least experiment with it now, when you have seen the necessity of order, when you have understood the nature of relationship, when you have perceived the austerity of true simplicity, and when you understand this beauty that is the absence of self, then something extraordinary occurs. The mind will inevitably, naturally, and unknowingly become quiet. You cannot make the mind quiet. This is the great illusion, the trap we all fall into. You cannot, because you are the mischief maker. You, the I, the ego, the center that is full of anxiety, confusion, ambition, and fear, how can you possibly make the mind quiet? The entity that is the very source of the disturbance cannot be the one to create peace. It is an absurdity. The I is the noise. But when you understand what quietness is not as an ideal, but by understanding what it is not, when you understand what your confusion actually is, where it comes from, how it operates, when you look at your sorrow and ask if sorrow can ever end, when you understand the whole mechanism of pleasure and fear, not by fighting it or suppressing it, but by observing it with your whole being, then out of that total, choiceless understanding, an extraordinarily quiet mind comes into being. You do not have to seek it. It is there as naturally as the sun rises. You must begin at the beginning. You cannot leap to the end. And in this, the very first step is the last step. The first step of seeing your own fragmentation, of seeing the me in operation, of seeing your attachment to being absorbed, that first act of pure observation without condemnation or justification is the entire journey. This seeing this total sensitive awareness is meditation